Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wealthy and Wise Wednesdays, where I share a few words of financial wisdom to help put you back in the driver's seat of your financial future. Today is Wednesday, October 14th, and today we're going to be looking at the second half of our series, Election 2020, Preparing for Economic Dangers and New Opportunities. Last week we talked about the uncertainty surrounding this year's election and how it could be the most fiercely contested election of our lifetime, with accusations of voter fraud, voter suppression, and on and on and on. We pointed out that when the future is uncertain, both institutional and retail investors tend to flee the market. And when that happens, the prices of equities, commodities, and other assets can drop unexpectedly or experience wild swings. And during last week's video and blog series, I shared some thoughts from Kim Butler, an economic and financial thought leader over at Partners for Prosperity. She mentioned that there are 4 things that you can do to prepare for potential crisis to help you from participating in all of the drama. So we talked about preparing your mindset, helping to make sure that you can make important decisions with clarity. Number 2 was preparing your body, because a healthy mind resides in a healthy body. Having abundant energy and the absence of health problems is a huge help to your mental clarity when making decisions and having the mental acuity to take advantage of opportunities. Number 3 was preparing for opportunity. Look, the wealthy tend to get wealthier by positioning a portion of their assets in cash equivalents, or where they have some kind of access to capital or equity so that they can take huge advantage of opportunities, such as when the prices of stocks, real estate, commodity, or businesses become depressed. And then step number 4 was preparing your assets. And this is where Kim advises you to get a clue. Get a clue. C.L.U.E. Control, liquidity, use, and equity. Now, this is where we left off last week, so that's where we're going to pick up the discussion for this week. So here are 4 things to consider when preparing for volatility. Again, we're talking about getting a clue. The C is for control. Are your assets at risk? Do they earn predictable returns, or are they all at the mercy of the financial markets? Do you control your assets, or are they subject to governmental rules, regulations, potential penalties, and excess taxation? There are many ways to increase control over your assets. One way is investing in non-correlated asset classes. These are assets that do not fall with the stock market. These can be things anywhere from bridge loans to mineral rights leases to private lending, among others. Now, those are pretty involved, and the average investor probably isn't going to directly participate in those kind of things. And that's why, personally, I love the various forms of insurance contracts as a non-correlated asset class. And I'm talking about things such as fixed index annuities and properly structured high cash value life insurance policies. Now, if you own assets such as appreciated stocks, whether it's inside or whether it's outside of your 401k or IRA, this may be an excellent opportunity to lock in your profits by repositioning those assets. Because look, let's face it, we've had a great bull market run for the last 10 or 12 years. But if you're going to do this, you want to do it before we're in the middle of a hotly contested election or before we're in the middle of a constitutional crisis. Because if things start to crash, you saw last spring how quickly that can happen. You want to make sure that you're prepared before the crisis starts. For example, moving some of your 401k assets to a non-correlated asset class, such as a fixed index annuity, it will completely protect you from market losses if the market goes down, but at the same time giving you upside potential if the market goes up. But just know that if you do decide to sell or move some assets, it could trigger potential taxes. So please don't do this yourself. Make sure that you're working with a knowledgeable financial professional like myself. So that's the C for control. Let's move on to the L for liquidity. Do you have plenty of cash on hand, or at least assets that can be easily converted into cash? Do you have guaranteed access to equity or capital? During the Great Recession, many people discovered that their emergency funds didn't go very far, let alone give them extra resources to take advantage of opportunity. You may want to keep a healthy portion of your assets in cash or cash equivalents. These include savings accounts, life insurance, cash values, and money markets. People think of stocks as liquid because usually they can be easily sold, but they aren't practical as liquidity in this particular discussion because they're too volatile and costly to sell when the market's down. I mean, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of what we're talking about. So that's the C and that's the L. Let's move on to the letter U in the acronym C.L.U.E. And the U stands for use. Use, or maybe utilization. So having ample savings and liquidity, it is important, but don't just let your cash sit around. The point in saving it is to use it when the right opportunity comes along. Is your money locked up, or can you use it when you need it? Too often, people save and invest in different types of accounts that can only be used for very specific purposes, such as a retirement account, or for healthcare, or like a 529 college fund. All of these things can be good in and of themselves, but they severely limit access to your money. And they can have unintended tax consequences and penalties if you need that money for other reasons. That's why we suggest building a multi-purpose financial fund that can be used for anything you want to provide financial flexibility. Some call it a wealth maximization account. I've heard others refer to it as cash flow insurance. Regardless of the cute nicknames that are out there and whatever it is that you call it, it's designed to put you back in control of your money. And then the final letter in the acronym C.L.U.E. is the E for equity. Owning assets is the key to building prosperity. And you want the ability to borrow against these assets to tackle emergencies or take advantage of opportunities. So you want the ability to borrow against the assets even if you never actually do. Now, real estate may be the asset that's most commonly borrowed against. However, it is worth noting that it's somewhat more difficult to do today than it was in the past. Many are finding out, unfortunately the hard way, that you can't just go down to the bank and get a home equity line of credit whenever you want, especially in a recession. And especially if they've suffered some kind of financial hardship, like a hit to their credit score or a job loss, because you just can't qualify for a loan if that's happened. And that's another reason to own a substantial amount of cash value life insurance. Many of my clients think of cash value life insurance as a bond substitute in their portfolio, because while it is stable, it has many, many more benefits than bonds, including a guaranteed loan provision against the equity in your policy. And in the insurance world, that equity is called cash value. Gratefully, there's no need to qualify for this type of loan from an insurance company. There's no application, no income documentation, no job verification or credit checks. And once you borrow against your cash value, there's not even a mandatory repayment schedule. You are completely in control of this line of credit. Now, we've come to the conclusion of this talk, so I'd just like to say, in summary, it's always good to be prepared for volatile times. Protecting your assets, but also being positioned so you can take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. Prepare your mind and your body for the inevitable challenges that lie ahead. Prepare your money for protection and for profit. Remember, control, liquidity, use, and equity. Get a clue. And prepare yourself for the opportunities that will arise, especially if you're ready for them. That's why here at Sneller Financial Services, we are working for you. And we have partnered with one of the absolute best investment advisory firms that are out there. At Retirement Wealth Advisors, we're experts at getting the very most out of your investments to help you meet your personal goals. So if you would like to talk with me about any of the topics discussed, please give me a call at 248-241-6826, or you can message me directly on social media. Well, that's my rant. Thanks for listening.